Hey guys, welcome to Rudra Tech Tutorials. Objective of this video is to understand what is a component and how it is created and used within Angular application. In Angular, a component consists of a Typescript class which will contain properties and method for the component. Then there is a metadata with @component decorator. This metadata contains or annotates the class with metadata and adds more information about the class. That means @component decorator will tell us what is this class and how this class will behave. Then it contains a template file. The template will contain the HTML part of the component that is visible to the user. Then it also consists of data binding. Well, the data binding is the way of exchanging data between the component class and the template. There are several types of data binding like one-way binding, two-way binding, event binding, attribute binding, and the component controls the view part of Angular application. Each Angular application has at least one component and can have several feature components. Now let's go and see the actual code and files for the component. Each component contains 4 files, and first file in this list is component.ts. This is a TypeScript file and it contains a TypeScript class which will hold properties and method for that class, and in this example it is only a title property that is defined here, and it contains metadata. This metadata is defined using @component decorator. This @component decorator is imported from Angular's core libraries using the import statement import component from @angular/core. Then this component defines several metadata, and first one is the selector. It is used to identify each component uniquely into the component tree. It also defines how the current component is represented in HTML DOM. And in simple words, selectors act as a custom element within HTML DOM tree. Then is the template URL. The template URL is a relative path or absolute path of the HTML template for Angular component. Then there are style URLs. The style URLs are the array of one or more relative or absolute path for CSS that are required by the component. That is, the style URLs contains the path for files that contains the styles for our component. So this is the basic example of a Appcomponent.ts or the component's TypeScript file. Then the next file is Appcomponent.html. The Appcomponent.html contains the HTML template, and using data binding, data from component class is displayed in the HTML. Now in this case, we have a h1 tag which says welcome to, and in double curly braces it shows title. Now this double curly braces is called as interpolation, and this title property is basically from Appcomponent.ts title property. That is, whatever the text displayed here will be added to Appcomponent.html using string interpolation, which is a type of a data binding, and whenever this component is executed, it will be displayed on the browser. Then the next file is Appcomponent.css. This file contains the CSS styles for the component, and in this example it is empty as we do not have much to add here. But there can be several component.css files that can be added to our component. Then the fourth file is Appcomponent.spec.ts. Now this spec file is used for unit testing the particular component code, and for this I have made an extensive video tutorial. For that, the video link is present in the upper corner and it's also present in the description. Then coming back to Appcomponent.ts. Now in this file, if you have noticed, a class is associated with an export statement. Now this export statement is useful for exporting this particular class into another class. And why it is important? Because whenever we are creating any component, it has to be registered with app module. And where it has to be registered? In app module, we have declarations. And here you can see app component is declared here. So if you have any component, pipe or a directive, it has to be added within this declaration array. Then now I'm going to run this project so that we can view the output of our Appcomponent HTML on the browser. So I'm going to open the terminal and I'm going to execute the command ngserve. Now always do remember, whenever we are executing any project, you have to make sure that you are executing the ngserve command wherever the package.json file is present. If it is not there, it will give an error. Now the project has executed successfully. Let's see the output on the browser. Since our project is executed with the default port, it will be executing on localhost 4200. So on the browser, you can see welcome to RudraTech 2014. Now this RudraTech 2014 is coming from Appcomponent.ts. But how did the information from a component came onto the browser? This is because of the selector. That is the selector that is present in the Appcomponent.ts file. Now this particular selector, app-root, is placed in index.html. Now here you can see app-root is included here. That is the reason the components HTML view is present on the browser. So always remember, whenever we want to show our component at a particular place, we have to put that component selector at the given place. Now in this case, since we wanted to show the app component, I have included app-root component at this point in index.html. Now in this example, we have seen app component and how it can be used to display the content on the browser. But the app component is the root component here. Why? Because this component is generated when we are generating our project. But if you want to create your own component, then you have to use the Angular CLI commands. In this case, the command will be ng generate component and the component name. So here I'm going to give the component name as. Once we execute this particular command, it will generate 4 files which will have component.ts, component.html, component.css and component.spec.ts. Now here you can see all the 4 files are generated, and in the folder structure you can see a folder is created with the name test, which is the name of our component. Then going to the component, now here you can see the test component.ts comes with a lifecycle hook, which is not there in the Appcomponent.ts. We'll discuss about lifecycle hook in future videos. Then let's add some text here. Now since we have created a new component, we have to make sure that this particular component is added to appmodule.ts. Now in this case, whenever we are executing the Angular CLI command, it automatically adds that particular component to the declarations array present within the ng module. Now here you can see the test component is added. Then in order to use this particular component and display whatever the HTML and its data, we have to use its selector. So the selector is app test. I'm going to copy this then come to Appcomponent.html and paste app test here. So the execution point comes to this line in the Appcomponent.html. It will encounter this particular tag, and from here it will invoke the component, that is the test component. Now let's see it on the browser. Here you can see inside text work has been added here. Now also remember that since we have added app test within the Appcomponent.html, the app test becomes the child component of Appcomponent.html. That means the app component will automatically become the parent component and the test component is our child component. So in this video, I have tried to explain what is a component, how it can be used within Angular application, and how it can be created. I hope you have liked this video. Do subscribe it, and thank you.